Good morning, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear students. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all my today's session speakers. And the today's session is on how to develop students holistically. It's my privilege to welcome distinguished speakers of the session, Mr. Ashwini Thambi and Ms. Jaspir Grover. Mr. Ashwini Thambi is the founder, director, and chief career mentor at Career Acer, engineer by education, leader by execution, and career mentor by passion. He has an experience of 24 years in industry, leading multi-million dollar project in software product development, heading R&D department, and have filed patent in US for technology development. He had counseled more than 2,000 students and working professionals through his uniquely designed outcome-oriented mentoring program. We are privileged to have you, sir. Ms. Jaspir Grover, an alumni of Lady Shri Ram College. She holds comprehensive knowledge of campus placements, job interviews, study overseas, visa interview, CV preparation. She is a recipient of many prestigious awards like Best Female Guru 2020, Dr. Sarojini Naidu Award 2021, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Peace Award 2021. We are privileged, ma'am. She is a neuro-linguistic programming certified licensed life coach. Founded Coaching Jenny in the year 2017 to assist students to fulfill their dreams of study overseas. And she is an Amazon bestseller author with her debut book, Know Your Unique Self, written in 2020 with her 15-year-old son during this pandemic. We are privileged to have both of you for today's session. I'm Latika Chaudhary, HOD, Commerce and Deputy Dean Student Welfare in DPS Jaipur, and I'm the moderator for today's session on how to develop students holistically. Ashwini sir, please tell us what do we mean by holistic development and how we can interconnect it with the education system. Sir, I would like
Right.
to express your view for today's session.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Latika ma'am, for your kind words and introduction as well. Yes, this is a necessary and a burning topic for today for students of different age groups. How to develop holistically, right? So let me share what I mean by holistic, right? Uh, Unfortunately, traditionally, for long years and decades, we have had tremendous focus on academics only, right? While that is good, that is necessary, and that is important. However, in today's world, it is highly insufficient, right? And that gap has to be filled, put together to make it a holistic development. When I say holistic, right, it is a combination of academics plus various other life skills which are necessary for an individual to be successful, and more importantly, not just successful, be happy in life. Now, this is something which many a times we tend to ignore. As I said, many a times, right? And many a times we believe that if we are successful monetarily, designation wise, career growth wise, that we assume that we are going to be happy, but not necessarily. I like to put it differently. We have to put the horse in front of cart and not the vice versa. If we are happy, we are bound to be successful, not the other way around necessarily. So, as a part of holistic development, it is about the academic journey. It is about your wholesomeness, which is in terms of your interest in art or creativity or your communication, your sporting activities, your spiritual participation at different stages for the student. whether the child is 5 year old or 10 or 15 or 20, at any stage all of these elements have to be taken together for the overall development, and they all play a vital role interconnected with each other. For example, we have seen those who are highly deep into sports, they learn a lot of valuable lessons in life in terms of their grit and determination, in terms of their dedication, discipline, and it plays a vital role even in their career success as well. Likewise, whether it is creativity, whether there are other elements in terms of interpersonal communication. So, all of these things together, when given the weightage, and that is when we say that it is holistic development. One important point before I kind of conclude my thought here is it is not about thinking about the remaining elements at some point in time. It's all a continuous journey. So if the child has not been exposed to or given the importance of, let's say, creativity or communication or sports or other things at an early age, it is very difficult to engage the child at the age of, let's say, 20 or 25 or some age at that point in time. So therefore, right from beginning, all the factors have to be taken together for the holistic development. That's what I mean by that. Um, I think Latika ji, you are on mute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jasmeet ma'am, a question from you. Ki, do you justify that holistic development will help students to navigate the current COVID-19 challenges and adapt to a new normal and maintain a strong mental and physical health?
Wonderful. So, first of all, what the points Ashwini ji talked about, I will bring that only little bit into the light. In current situation, how many people can practice sports? Secondly, is not that everyone has got an apt mindset to go for sports and other physical activities, right? But if we talk about holistic development, it is something which people should learn from their day to day life also. What I wish to say in that, I people may call me a old tradition lady, but I honestly love the kind of gurukuls we used to have, right? How do you see? We have seen in all the old Asians, our Mahabharat, Ramayan, and any such wisdom, knowledge, ancient things which we saw in the TV series or in the movies. That student used to stay with the guru. They used to cook the food at their own. They used to go and hunt the vegetables, pluck the vegetables. They used to wash their clothes at your own. So what I say, instead of going outside, our kids are capable of doing such things at home, where majority of time, fortunately, technology is playing a good role. But before pandemic, still parents used to be eager, bahar jaake khel lo. But how about presence of mobile gaming? How about every parent is crying about PUBG? How about social media? Right? So, what I purely believe that people said that charity begins from home. Your first house is your school only. Right? So, I personally feel that 3 years age is a very small time or age group where a child usually is being put in a school. At least 5, 6 years, a child should learn the basic things. If you would be shocked and surprised to know, like my younger son, you just got to know that he assisted me in writing my book in pandemic, and it's a handwritten book, and still he is working for me from class 9. He was suffering from arthritis, and that is a time where I realized that sitting at home and having this physical difficulty, how will be in I will be in a situation to engage him? Neither he can do sports, jabki he was a child who used to play for almost 2 3 hours. But all of a sudden something has come. So is that the child is equipped to deal with it? So what people faced in pandemic, I myself, having lost my father at a very young age, I believe, अगर मैं हिंदी में बोलूँ उस जमाने में आज एक बहुत कॉमन बात है irrespective of gender. Sorry, though I am a female, people simply says that हमें खाना बनाना नहीं आता. कितने प्राइड से बताते हैं लोग, right? But how do you see that I, as a child, and majority of people from our group, from our child, used to know how to cook, irrespective of gender, right? So then, in addition to that, to me, holistic development is that the basic life skills. Even if a student is going for a higher study or they are going for a job, maybe leaving their hometown to cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, please understand in this pandemic, जिन लोगों को ये पता था कि they will be having a tiffin services, they will have a PG provided food, how much they have suffered a lot, because majority of people even don't know how to cook, right? Even if they thought of, yeah, we will do some experiment. Are they attuned to live on the maybe a diet which is purely a rich diet like fruits and vegetables? No.
Right.
Even if something is thinking of, cooking now in this pandemic, talk about when it started. Now people are dealing with it. But what I know from my experiences, heard from the many corporates where people were working, because people are going out to the bigger cities, bigger countries, that going to a different country, people learn these skills because there people say अक्कल आ जाएगी जब खुद से करना होगा, right? But in India still we have a maid system. We know we have a paying capacity, we can buy a maid. But when pandemic came, it was very difficult for people to understand. Parents themselves, once they go for a job, I as a mother, being raised by a single mom, and then I was a working professional, I also have to depend upon a social system or maybe a maid system where I would be sitting my looking forward for my kids कि उनको कोई और look after करे, right? But in today's scenario, we heard that situations that because kids, parents, both the parents are working, they go early in the mornings, they are being raised up by the parents. Majority of parents were not even aware of what time their child gets up, what time their child sleeps, because how much time they are spending in life, in their work, right? So I believe holistic development is learn the basic skills, because these things you can learn from your home, right? That helps.
Very much true.
My
Very true.
elder son used to clean the washroom from the age of 4, and my mom also used to say, पंजाबी में बोलती थी, ये चंगी गल नहीं है, इनू वॉशरूम ना साफ कराया कर. I said, but what's wrong in this, right? My my younger son, knowing that her mom has decided that she would be working at her home, and I was working at my own from my work from home from 2017. After coming from school, when he used to say that mom, students are at home. So even today, why I joined late, because one of my alumni from 2017 batch was there at my place night at the 12 o'clock, went back at the 6 o'clock. We were discussing many things. He's working now, right? There was a training and placement wait for him. So, once they are there, our discussions, kids learn. They know Lakshmi भैया की life क्या थी, सुमित वीर जी ने क्या करा, पीयूष के साथ क्या हुआ. Like all these stories they have learned from the home, right? But if majority of time is going in watching screen, television, sports facility, we cannot matlab, cash. How about if art and craft is not everyone's cup of tea? We always say art is something you cannot put, right? But how we are preparing, and imagine that's the point. Like if I can engage my son, like okay, help me with my work. And when he used to come from the school, he used to see mom is sitting with so many students. Trust me, my younger son, मेरे छोटे बेटे की चाय पीने आज भी मेरे स्टूडेंट्स आते हैं. They are at their level. Talking about a child who is only in 5-6 class, coming back at home and cooking at least 10 से 20 लोगों की चाय बनाना, वो बना के मेरे स्टूडेंट्स को बोलता था भैया बना दी है, कैन यू टेक इट. तो माय स्टूडेंट इवन न्यू किचन में वेयर आर द थिंग्स अवेलेबल देयर.
Very
पेरेंट्स
true, Jasbir ma'am. Very true. I think these are the very down to earth techniques how we can raise our kids with holistic development. Ashwini sir, uh, do you think students can stand out from the crowd on the basis of only theoretical know-how? Nowadays, as the new education policies also come up with a value-based approach, holistic approach, the word is used holistic approach. So only the
Right.
theoretical knowledge will help them to stand out from the crowd in these recent 21st century skills.
Well, of course not. And I think the answer lies in your question as well. Good that you have triggered that point. Uh, Theoretical, as the name says, is theoretical, right? In life, as we grow and as we develop, it is the working life. If you look at it from a purely academic journey to the rest of the life, the ratio is like almost about 1:4. the number of years which we fully dedicate towards studying in a school college versus the number of years that we spend hands-on working, approximately the ratio is 1 is to 4, which means there is a sizable number of years in our life we are going to spend working. And now, if we have not been trained towards that as a part of education, then fundamentally education is incomplete. A simple example from our own traditional system, if I take an example, let's compare a regular business family household wherein there is a shop and father goes to the shop, and then son who is also growing up and has a vision at family, a shared vision at family. I carefully use the word shared vision at family, that the son has to grow up and take up the father's legacy. So in that situation, the son pretty much starts joining the father maybe at the age of 13, 14, 15, around that age, approximately, right? Spending few hours after the school and college and all. Over a period of 3, 4, 5 years, he has learned the art of doing that business, dealing with the customers and vendors and pretty much the entire business ecosystem. By the time he touches about 18, 19, 20, and he's rugged, ready to take up, right? Which means it has been a beautiful succession planning. I mean, in the corporate language, if we use, this is fundamentally at home the succession planning, which has been meticulously planned, and the next generation is ready. Now let's try to put that into our new age education and the corporate style. So there is another son in another family. As I say son, let it be son or daughter, whoever. I don't want to be, specific to a particular gender. When the boy or girl goes to, say, for example, engineering college. Today, engineering has become more like, if you don't have anything to do, go for engineering college, right? So then during engineering 4 years, a sizable number of them would spend time uh, studying and studying rather than not much practically involved. The day comes when you are finishing your 4 years, you are at the doorstep of the engineering college, stepping out and getting into the industry. And that's when you get a major shock in life saying, I probably don't know anything, or maybe I know very little, or compared to what the interviewer or whoever is giving me the job, compared to what they're expecting, I have a huge gap. Now, why did that happen? Because during that 4 years, the college is supposed to be a transition from your childhood to the working life. I repeat, the college is supposed to be a transition from your childhood to the working life. It is getting you prepared. Are we taking it that way? If not, if we are only onto the theoretical, that's what the question you asked. If we are only onto the theoretical part, that is where we have a major setback. So therefore, that college life, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever time we spend there, has to be used to acquire that practical knowledge, equivalent to that family business wherein this boy or girl is fully involved with the parents to get trained. An equivalent kind of a thing has to happen as a part of the college, so that you gear up, you call it as internship, you call it as project experience, in different names. But then once you are practically ready, that's when your transition is truly successful and you can seamlessly get into your working life.
Definitely.
Right? So
Thank
that's
you.
how I look at it.
Yeah, Ashmiza, that was so elaborate. Jasmeet, ma'am, the question is for you. Schools nowadays are realizing that students need special emphasis on skill development to improve the higher employability rate among students through overall development. Because we are now focusing on vocationalization straight away after 12th. So they have included courses in 10th also, 12th also, that the students can be more employable. So is it only through theoretical or core curriculum, or we need to add skill development into that for holistic development?
I believe the points which Ashwini ji were taking, I just would like to add on that doing an internship,
Yes.
going for projects. So I wish to share here one thing before I give your answer is that being a training and placement head for engineering colleges till 2017, we have seen in those projects one set of people are working, others का सिर्फ नाम होता है. एचआर ने बैठ के पूछे, बेटा तूने बनाया था या खरीदा था? कौन से मार्केट से खरीदा है? नेहरू प्लेस से खरीदा था या डिस्ट्रिक्ट सेंटर से खरीदा था. I'm talking about all top organizations. Name any organization. I did the interviews for my campus placements from 2009 till 2017, right? So how about getting involvement, even if that skill development is coming in engineering colleges or any XYZ colleges? And how do you see internship किसी जानने वाले के वहां होती है और हम जाते भी नहीं है और सीख के आ जाते हैं, सर्टिफिकेट मिल जाता है. I will, without mincing my word, I'll say that looking at CVs, I know that what people, especially engineers, they go and do a kind of a work in certain organization. देख के ही पता होता है सिर्फ ये वहां पर एक्सेल बना के आए होंगे, अपनी फील्ड की इन्होंने कोई इंटर्नशिप नहीं की होगी. Some of the PSUs are there because they can never allow them to touch their projects, right? So now coming to the point, skill. I totally believe, Latika ma'am, 10th के बाद ना 11th 12th वाला subject का burden should never be there on students. There is so much of भाग दौड़ that if you want to go to engineering, 11th and 12th का system पूरा revolves around people say very proudly, my child go to FITGI, my child go to Kota, my child is preparing for NEET. How does it matters? Are we able to break the barrier from the mindset of the parents कि इसके अलावा स्किल डेवलपमेंट पे जाना है? आई बीइंग अ person from this background of engineering and my whole life journey is very different, that's a separate question. After 10th I put my son into 10 plus year diploma in IT, and you know what people used to say, why not 11 12? पता है डिप्लोमा में कौन से बच्चे जाते हैं? I'm talking about my elder son is 24 years now, and people used to say students who are doing diploma, they are somehow underprivileged because they cannot afford the fields. But even in those diplomas, there was a huge shock because once a child come out of the school system, the kind of things they expect. So I believe school system ke saath hi there should be some skill development which has to come at a level where they are learning skills, and those skills should give them further leverage. Because how do you see some engineers after certain period of times they said mere se ye kaam nahi hoga, I don't like it, right? So do we have that exit system even irrespective of what they have learned, that they can experiment more? So skills are really important because until and unless you are not doing it, swimming is something which you cannot learn online. Driving is something without sitting in the car and driving it, you can't learn it, right? But at the same time, that is that everyone enjoys driving, that's also a question. So I believe from the beginning there has to be certain things kids should be given enough opportunity in the schools also कि हमारे curriculum में भी अगर 8 period है तो at least I believe 5 period should be on academic, 3 to 4 period should be given exclusively for the kids to learn this life skills. मैंने अभी थोड़े दिनों पहले अपने एज ग्रुप के किसी लोग को पूछा, आई एम फ्रॉम अ सरकारी स्कूल का बच्चा, राइट? मैंने उनको पूछा SUPW नाम से एक सब्जेक्ट होता था हमारा, आज वो एग्जिस्ट करता है क्या? I hope it was mandatory for everyone.
Yes, it was at that time. We used to learn all the stitchings and everything. Yes, of course. Yes,
right.
Ashwini sir, I suppose you the views given by Jaspreet ma'am are really very, very down to earth. And so the question is coming up on our comment box. Mr. Stupa Borul is asking, when it comes to holistic health, we are looking beyond the physical body and are addressing physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and intellectual health. So now I
Right.
think school has to work on these grounds, that with the education academics, they need to focus on emotional, social, and intellectual
Right.
health. So I think
Right.
they're also celebrating Grandfather's Day, Grandmother's Day, many more days, just to bring this
Right.
holistic development. Do you think this is correct on their part, the schooling education, Ashwini sir?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think it has been rightly pointed out that the development is not just purely intellectual, right? It has to be, again, when we use the word holistic and the words that you have thrown open here, whether it is the emotional development or the spiritual development, right? If we look at the the overall as a being, right? Then what we talk about is, as individual, as the way God has created us, that it is about our soul, our mind, and our body. right? And together, are we feeding all the three elements? So we, as an individual, the chetan, the jad and the chetan part is our soul, right? Which is like which is timeless, jo amar hai, right? And it is the body in which we take the incarnation. So then the food for that, so the spirituality is all about keeping your soul healthy, right? Emotional development is all about keeping your mind healthy, and accordingly with all the physical healthy practices, we are keeping the physical body healthy. Now in this whole process, intellectual is an essential element, but it is one of the element which takes care, right? When you get into stress, I mean, all these words that we use, the stress is there, tension is there, tough times are there, things are getting out of bound. Now in those
Sorry to interrupt you,
situations,
Ashwini sir. There's a question which is coming up. People are saying कि how all these holistic development can be achieved through online classes. तो आप उसको भी add कर
okay,
दीजिएगा.
I will add that also. I'll just try to put that perspective also. So in that whole process, when all that stress and difficult times are there, it is not just only the intellectual part which takes you forward, it is the emotional stability, the way in which we can settle down, calm down, relax, and take a better control of our mind. And that is when we are able to break the deadlock. I mean, we have seen many examples in our day-to-day life where someone who has been supposedly very successful in career in terms of a celebrity and has collapsed against certain difficult times. Why? Because in those situations we can say the person had a very high IQ, but probably not that high EQ, right? The emotional quotient part of it. So therefore the emotional stability and learning that art of making oneself stable emotionally is an essential part of the overall education, of the overall development. That's where again the holistic thing comes into play. Now touching upon the online, in fact in fact, which is why there are many different kinds of students who come to me in my regular work as a career counselor, wherein as a part of counseling, I just don't limit my dialogue only with the students. I engage the parents enough right from the beginning, because it is together as an entity that they have to make sure that the student develops well. And in that process, at times I even do the EQ analysis for the student to highlight as to where the gaps might be and how those things have to be strengthened if you want to make sure that the student succeeds much ahead in life and enjoys what he or she does. Now in that process, when you talk about the online education, what is the role or how relevant it is, right? See, we are in a time when things are changing continuously, and probably they are changing far rapidly than what they were changing earlier. And change is the only constant. It is changing today, it will be changing in future as well, it has been changing in past as well, right? So with changing times, newer technological developments which are happening, we can't remain aloof of that. We have to embrace them, but we have to embrace with a suitable judgment. There are certain things where technology has brought tremendous advantage. I can tell you that the true democratization of education has been possible because of online. Now, today, a person with very minimal earning also probably has a smartphone with a data connection, and he or she can also watch the same YouTube channel on which a particular video which has been delivered as a speech by an IIT professor or a Harvard professor, or who are out there, can also access and watch at the same time as one of the very affluent family person. That's fundamentally the democratization, which otherwise was not possible if the online meme didn't exist. So we have to embrace it. We have to take it for advantage. Every new thing that happens can always have the merits and demerits. Online has got its own demerit also, right? But then we have to keep that aside and stay focused on the value and the advantages that it can bring in. Like for example, earlier, Jasmine ma'am also told that there are certain things which can be learned only by doing, right? You can't learn swimming by reading book, right? You have to dip into the water. Now, can you dip online? I don't know today. Maybe tomorrow's technology with AI and a whole lot of AR VR kind of a thing, if it might bring in, I have no idea. But as of today, not. So which means it has to be a combination of your online education as well as immersing practically into it. and a combination of that can truly bring wonders. I believe so.
Thank you, Ashwini sir. Great views by your side. And there's one more question, Jasveer ma'am, coming up that this people are asking that, okay, holistic development is very important, but time management कैसे किया जाए कि academics भी हो जाए, spiritual भी हो जाए, emotional and games and everything. And during these times, COVID, the basic holistic development problem अभी आई है. So if you can express your views on this, that how to be mentally and emotionally fit with academics.
So
As you
first
know
and
कि
foremost,
सबका online में जो timetable है सब mess up हो गया है. It is not more disciplined.
so the only thing is that that's the reason I says that do agree technology has played a big role, but what I am accepting and I really would like to advocate and fight for this, that technology is hampering the human potential of brain. Too much of technology is affecting our health system. It has hardcore disadvantages on our body, on our mind, distraction, angers, eye problems, sleeplessness, right? All these issues people are facing. And if you talk about, again, I say everything starts from home. If there is a problem of time management, how we will do it, right? So nothing comes with ऐसे चुटकी बजा के. One thing I will like to say again, I will go back to the traditional model. Even if we are on an online model, how do you see हमारे बड़े बुजुर्ग अर्ली इन द मॉर्निंग उठते थे, पर आज हमारा सोने का समय कितने बजे का है? Forget about early morning उठना. Is that, are we in a situation to develop this habit? हम कर पा रहे हैं अपनी जनरेशन को? Not possible. Not everyone. Clear? So once you are not getting up in the time, once you don't have your own to-do list, once you do not know how to set the intention for the day, right? I don't believe in timetables. I believe purely that your thoughts are electromagnetic things which go to the universe, and if you keep on thinking, you will get it. But if your brain is 10 times here and there, so is that, do you know how to take control of that genie? Why do I call myself genie? Because your brain is your genie. It says जो आप इंस्ट्रक्शंस दोगे मैं वही करूंगा. साइंटिफिकली प्रूफ है ना. अगर आग है वहां हाथ लगाते हैं, गर्म है, ब्रेन सेंड द इंस्ट्रक्शन, अपना हाथ वापस ले लो. बट आर वी यूजिंग दैट पावर ऑफ अवर ब्रेन? उसके लिए कोई टेक्नोलॉजी की जरूरत नहीं है, राइट? नाउ इफ यू आर डूइंग एनीथिंग इन द फैमिलीज, इन द होम्स, इन दिस सिचुएशन, मैंने इस मॉडल को आगे लेके भी जाना है, and I always talk it at a very broader level, right? We have got, अब मेरे घर पे एक routine and ritual in the night 11 to 12, me, my younger son, my husband and my elder son, we do daily prayers, meditation before ending our day for 1 hour, before ending your day. And we are doing it as a family. And talking about soul awakening is such a big topic. लोग बोलते पता कैसे लगता है ये, right? Do you think हमारे पुराने जमाने में पाठ करते थे लोग, right? But how many people now do it? Online होके भी अब तो ऑडियो हो गया, YouTube हो गया, सब कुछ हो गया. तो watching something, reading something can work at a certain level. So are we taking even a baby steps, right? If I look at my both sons, my elder son was never a sporty, but he was very good in other things, right? But if I look at my younger son, he is more into other things. Why? The पहली चीज यही है कि लाइफ को डे टू डे लाइफ में जीना कैसे. एंड दिस एक्टिविटी, लाइक डू यू जर्नल व्हाट यू आर गोइंग टू डू? Scripting has got an immense power. Do you take at least 10-minute times or half an hour time in the morning? Believe me, when I was working in the similar university, sitting in the bus, college, university bus and going to the university, it was almost a 1.5 hour, 2 hours journey. बहुत दूर था. And NCRs में traveling is a very big pain. जो आज एक टाइम मिल गया लोगों को घर से, right? So I used to think कि मॉर्निंग में उठते ही स्टूडेंट्स की, क्योंकि मैंने जान के बस में ट्रैवल करना स्टार्ट किया था, लुकिंग एट हाउ स्टूडेंट्स सेट द टोन ऑफ देयर डे इन द बस. तो बस में सुबह गाने चल रहे होते हैं. आई हैव नथिंग अगेंस्ट द गाना, राइट? स्टूडेंट्स यूज्ड टू टॉक अबाउट ऑल दीज थिंग्स. सो आई एम स्टिल नोन कि जसबीर गोवर बस में चढ़ेगी, अपने हेडफोन लगाएगी, आई विल प्लेस माई गुरबानी, I will listen to it and I will chant it along loudly. डैम केयर कौन मेरे लिए क्या सोचेगा. एंड पीपल न्यू मी, इवन मेरा सिक्योरिटी गार्ड की अपना कार्ड पंच करके, अपने लाइक अटेंडेंस मैनुअल मार्क करके, till the time I'm going to my section and my room, I am not settled after writing my things, gratitude list, what are my to-do list, what are the important things. Nobody will call me and people know Jasbir Gover has this time for us. Are we creating these habits? These are the habits successful people are following. But why they are not part of our day? Why even in the school and curriculum, once you start your day, even online, why don't we give this time to the students? You have 30 minutes time. Understand? This is your homework. Kindly fast. Write your gratitude list. What you are grateful for. Write your 5 things which are troubling you. Write 5 things which you wish to overcome. And then you start your day. And then what I said, it's not easy to say anyone can do meditation. I did my doodling, right? So I do my own all work kind of. Writing has got immense power. So once you start setting the tone of your day, and if you have got a chart to see where you are spending your time, and you are doing an audit, which I do it to the students, so then they get to know कितना time तो वैसे ही waste हो जाता है, right? मतलब मेरे दादाजी वॉज अ हेड मास्टर इन पंजाब. मुझे याद है मैं उनके साथ स्कूल में जब जाती होती थी तो ही उस तो पंजाब में बोलते थे कि एक बच्चे को तो वो बोलते थे अभी ना गाय का दूध निकाल के आना है, आया हूँ, उसके बाद मुझे खेत जाना है. दे यूज्ड टू गो टू द स्कूल ऑल्सो, दे यूज्ड टू स्टडी. एंड वी विल एग्री, हमारे ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स की हैंड राइटिंग कैसी होती थी. हाउ डू यू सी टेक्नोलॉजी में आज हम कुछ टाइप करते हैं. आई वॉज वेरी एंग्री विद माई सन. मैंने कहा ये नए फोन में एक प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है, आई एम राइटिंग अ मेल एंड व्हाई ही इज सेइंग स्वाइप. उसने मजाक में बोला माता ये बता रहा है ना आगे आपको क्या लिखना है. मैंने कहा क्यों, मेरे ब्रेन को नहीं पता है क्या? कांट माई फिंगर्स टाइप इट? व्हाई दिस मच ऑफ डिपेंडेंसी ऑन टेक्नोलॉजी? सो ही सेड पता नहीं आप कैसे सोचते हो. मैंने बोला आई वांट यू गाइज ऑल्सो टू थिंक ऑन दिस. लुक एट द स्पेलिंग्स. I, because study overseas, I teach IELTS also. I know people who are at a managerial level, aiming to go to abroad for masters, for MBAs, or even for PR. When it comes to IELTS writing, पहला आंसर पता क्या होता है? मैम मेरी writing मत देखना, it's too bad. I'm not saying somebody should has a good handwriting, but it has got a role because it has a power to, activate your subconscious mind. कभी लिख के देखो, it has got a huge power.
I think you are on mute, Latika ma'am. I think you're trying to speak.
When I was preparing for the session, I was going through the quotes, few quotes. It's always necessary to keep in mind few quotes. So I came across a very good quote by Albert Einstein that education is not the learning of facts, but the learning of the mind to think. So as Jasmeer आप कह रहे हो ना कि that this online education has stopped us thinking. There's a new word coming up, net lag. कुछ भी चाहिए फटाफट गूगल कर लिया. So we have stopped thinking. So I think holistic development means that we need to train our mind. Isn't it, Ashwini sir? Like you are a career mentor. So even
Yes.
you are engineer by education and you are there in
Yes.
software R&D and even patent. So do you think that even the new upcoming engineers generation and students, they have stopped thinking, they're referring to Googles and everything? What do you
Right.
say, Ashwini sir?
Yes, very much true. It is the training of the mind which is the most critical thing, right? And unfortunately, with the new generation, I wouldn't generalize, but I would definitely say that there is a sizable number of people around who are having a higher degree of dependence on technology, which is not a good symptom, right? It is making our mind lethargic, right? I mentioned earlier also, if I may recall, that there are merits and demerits of technology. We have to utilize the merits. The technology is helping us to do things in better manner. Let's use it. Technology is helping us to learn things in better manner. Visualization, let's do it. However, if technology is making us lethargic, if it is making us not to think or over depend on it, now that's really a dangerous sign. So much so, for example, I mean, I'm also quite passionate and excited about mathematical thinking and learning the art of maths. Right now, in that whole process, also I do come across children. I have been connected with children in India as well as in US as well. And when I come across children and I observe them having greater dependence on calculators, right?
Hmm.
Nothing wrong in it. Eventually, when you become, for example, someone in accounting and large number of sums and all that stuff, and that time you utilize calculator, that's fine. But then, who has to decide whether it is right or wrong, or how do you make sure that the calculation is right? Somewhere your thinking power has to be ignited, and it is from the childhood that you need to learn as much as possible to do by yourself, right? You probably do not need to memorize a lot of things, because when needed information is available online. That's fair enough. You don't need to overload your mind with memorizing things which might not be necessary. But at the same time, not utilizing your brain power to exercise. Brain power is something which the more you exercise, the more powerful it becomes, rather than the other way around. It is not like a battery that you use more and it depletes. No, it is the other way around. The more you exercise, right? Saraswati, when we say vidya, तो जितना विद्या दान करेंगे उतना बढ़ती है वो. So same
Hmm.
way, the way we exercise more, it makes us more sharper. So in that context, for sure, I repeat, technology has to be utilized for its right purposes, right? Not for replacing our basic fundamental thinking process. That needs to be continuously sharpened by utilizing technology, not by replacing by technology. That's my
Very
thought on
true,
that.
sir. In our school, during the Makar Sankranti program, the students were asked to make kites just to attach them with the things. Because in online education, it's very difficult to make them more spiritual and emotional. So these types of things are coming up in school, and I think जो new education policy है 2020 की, it is more about experiential learning. It is more about competency based learning, isn't it, Jasveer ma'am? Experiential learning,
100%
as you
right.
were saying, that they go for they just take a certificate, but they don't attend the internship. So if from school experiential learning start होगी, उनको attach करेंगे examples और activity से, तो holistic development will happen in school,
You
isn't
know,
it,
you
ma'am?
are very right, Latika ma'am. As you said, हमने लोगों को
Mm,
काइट बनानी सिखाई, right? But
mm,
मैं ये कहती हूँ कि why it is only depending upon school? Why we are not coming up with the
mm.
things?
That is
Because ये
true.
forcible हो गया ना कि स्कूल ने बोला है तो करना है. It's a mindset. Why not खुद से बनाना है? You believe or not believe, still I prepare मेरे, I still miss, इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे ही बोल देती हूँ, we are matured enough. मेरी लव मैरिज है. आई हैव रिटन लव लेटर्स टू माय हस्बैंड. मेरे दादाजी मुझे लेटर लिखते थे. उस जमाने में वो चिट्ठी लिखते थे, मुझे पता था 7 दिन में चिट्ठी आएगी, मैं रिप्लाई करूंगी, उनके पास जाएगी, राइट? तो उन सब चीजों को भी जब मैं देखूं कि हमारी राइटिंग पावर घर में हमारे पास है. आपने बोला काइट बनाना, स्कूल ने बोला बना दिया, बट हाउ डू यू सी जब मैं अपने बेटे को बोलती हूँ अब चाय तेरे को ही बनानी है? मेकिंग सेंस? मतलब स्कूल अगर इस चीज को मतलब करिकुलम में लाएगा, इट वुड बी वेरी गुड, बट हाउ विल वी ब्रिंग दैट कैच एज अ जील, राइट? जो मैंने बोला एसयूपी, मुझे पता था कि एलएसआर में हमारा एक दिन होता था श्रमदान, पूरा कॉलेज साफ करो,
अच्छा.
राइट? मतलब मैं आज भी मजाक में बोलती हूँ, और माय एल्डर सन इज वॉकिंग एंड ही इज वॉकिंग विद वेरी गुड टॉप 5 टॉप 10 आईटी कंपनीज. उसके वहां पर वो बोलते हैं, तो बोलते हैं व्हाट हैपन? तो ही सेड कि मामा मेरी मीटिंग चल रही है, आप बीच में आ गए हो. तो मैंने बोला टेल देम ना, योर मॉम इज नॉट एजुकेटेड, उसको पता नहीं है मीटिंग चल रही है. यू नो व्हाई? बिकॉज हाउ डू यू अंडरस्टैंड? एक वीडियो आया था बहुत अच्छा लिंक्डइन पे कि इस सिचुएशन में एक पेरेंट काम कर रहा है और उसका बच्चा पीछे नाच रहा है, और वो फादर का इंटरव्यू चल रहा है. And he said, I'm so sorry, right? But don't you think so? These are the normal things. हमने unnecessary hype बनाई है. So that's very right कि अगर kite बनाओगे ही नहीं, right? But how do you think ऐसी चीजों को हम day to day life में बोल रहे हैं, आज कुछ नया बनाया है क्या? अब स्कूल वाले बोले, जैसे to be very honest, one of my relative also said, मेरा बच्चा इतना छोटा है, इसको बोला आप ये चीज बनाओ, इतने छोटे बच्चे को खाना बना के क्या करना है? I immediately pointed out, मैंने सीखा है ना बचपन में खाना बनाना, because my mom used to go for a walk और मुझे पता था भूखे रहना पड़ेगा. She told us how to रोटी बना लो, गरम कर लो, माइक्रोवेव सिस्टम नहीं होता था, इंसुलेटेड सिस्टम नहीं होते थे, क्रच फैसिलिटीज नहीं होती थी 80s में, when I lost my father. right? So this
Definitely.
is what.
Right, very true.
I
I
think
think
I'll
people are
just add.
listening so patiently to you, Jasbir ma'am. Yes, Ashwini sir,
Uh,
you were saying something?
yeah. I just want to add on one more point. Agreeing to what Jasbir ma'am has said, that the experimenting skills, right, are so necessary, which have to be inculcated from as early as possible, right? It has
That is true.
two parts to it. One, as a child learning how to experiment and understanding that when you are experimenting, right, you may get a favorable answer, which is what we call as successful. You may get an unfavorable answer wherein you probably failed vis-a-vis what you anticipated. In either way, there is a learning that not everything happens the way you wish it to happen. Now, that's a significant amount of learning, and that can happen when parents are also broad minded to let child do. Something might fall, something might break, something might mess up, something might become dirty at home, something expensive might get wasted, things of that kind. So enabling and letting the child to experiment, because eventually, fast forward, you get into let's say working life, you are at the age of 25 or 30 or 35 and all, as a part of the corporate environment or your own business or startup or whichever the domain, whether you are in IT or finance or education or design or whichever the stream you are into, you are expected to be innovative, to come up with new things, better things. And I have
Very true.
seen people, some of the people who are not used to experimenting, they hesitate a lot. They are worried something may go wrong. They don't have the guts and courage to take that risk and try out new things. Now, that is where that whole innovation, in a very glorified manner, we talk about saying we want to develop innovation. Now, that innovation cannot come at the age of 20, 25, and 30, and all that. It has to come from the childhood. The child has to be experienced enough to try out things, and even if the result is not so favorable, the child should know how to make it happen or how to tune your experiment. Keep trying and trying. That sense can come only by doing and not by just listening or preaching otherwise. So, from that perspective, I believe at home, that whole sense of letting the child to experiment is the source for thinking creatively, doing innovative things at later point in time when it is expected as a part of the job. So, the unfortunate part here is that we expect certain things suddenly when you are working, but all through the learning life, the academic life, that we have not been putting those elements as a part of learning, and that is where mismatch. And those few smaller percentage who actually does that are the ones whom we see as successful, recognized success stories. Whole lot of them, when we hear, they are the ones who actually have been doing through the regular life. I believe that is where the difference comes, both in terms of experimenting as well as the research oriented thought process. Research, discover, figure out the things by yourself. That's just
Very true,
a short note I want.
Ashwini sir. I think Jaspreet ma'am, because we recently in 21st century, both mother and father both are working, so it comes to school to develop student holistically. So like and even now, if you see the metro towns, वो सब लोग flats में रह रहे हैं. So there is a project in our school which is going on, germination of seeds, how to let the children play with the fertilizer. क्योंकि वो आप सही कह रहे हो, आपके दादाजी के टाइम पे लास्ट 25 years back there was many things in our economy, but now the things are coming to school because materialism हो गया, flat system, metro towns. So school it becomes on school to develop holistically. So it is also that they need to come up with new innovative ideas, as Ashwini sir was saying, to help the students to develop
So
holistically.
I
One
wish
more
to
thing,
add
Jaspreet
a
ma'am, as after listening to you, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि I read this line that holistic education prepares children to tackle all kinds of worldly issues. So after listening to you, I think this is a correct line. कि They help us to tackle all the worldly issues. Isn't it, Ashwini sir? Isn't it, Jasbir ma'am?
Yes,
100%।
absolutely,
मुझे यहाँ पर
absolutely.
एक चीज ऐड करनी है। लतिका मैम, एज यू सेड, आपने बच्चों को काइट बनानी दी है। मैं आपको बोलूंगी अपने टाइम टेबल में एक दिन बच्चों को ये होमवर्क देना, आज बर्तन कितने लोगों ने धोए हैं, आज घर पे ब्रेकफास्ट किसने बनाया था, आज तुमने घर पे सफाई किसने की है, हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू नो हाउ टू कीप योर बाथरूम क्लीन, आज किसी ने अपने फादर के लिए आउट ऑफ द वे किसी काम को करा है। आधे बच्चों को यही नहीं पता होता व्हाट देयर पेरेंट्स आर डूइंग एंड व्हाट इज देयर काइंड ऑफ वर्क। इनोवेशन इज अगेन कम्स थ्रू टेक्नोलॉजी, राइट? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव डेकोरेटेड योर रूम? प्लीज, इससे ना स्टूडेंट्स आर स्पेंडिंग देयर मेजॉरिटी ऑफ टाइम एट होम। पेरेंट्स और स्टूडेंट्स को मिलकर आज इकट्ठे होके इस ऑनलाइन सिस्टम के साथ काम करने की सख्त जरूरत है, बिकॉज मदर्स आर सेइंग मैं बच्चे को कैसे संभालूं, आई हैव
I think you're once again on mute.
You are on
Sorry. Yeah, I'm just seeing the lip
They
movement of
love
Latika ji.
your session, Jaspreet ma'am and Ashwini sir. And it's coming on the comment box also कि जड़ों से जुड़े रहेंगे तो पूरी तरह से अपना हमारे बच्चों का डेवलपमेंट होगा. It's coming on the comment box and I think people have enjoyed your session and your views. Thank you so much, Ashwini sir. The approach of innovations and inventions which you have given, and Jaspreet ma'am, the down to earth view that families are more important to groom students with school holistically is to utter importance for the upcoming 21st century students. Thank you so much, Ashwini sir and Jaspreet ma'am, for such a wonderful session. And really, this was an eye opener for me also, listening to you people belonging to such fields and such amazing experience you all have. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. Thank you, Jaspreet.
Thanks a
Nice,
lot.
nice talking to you. Nice talking to you. Thank you so much. I hope the audience have gained something. Whoever is listening to it. Just one last message which I want to give to the children is that try to be a face in the crowd. Stand out for yourself. Do things where you can stand out. Right. Lead the things in such a manner that others feel like chasing you rather than you chasing others.
Right.
Others feel like chasing you. Lead the game, right? Stand out as a face in the crowd. Do whatever is needed for that. That's the message with which I want to leave our younger generation, and I hope they gain the benefit out of it. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
inviting me
Ashwini
here.
sir. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
so
a
much.
lot.
Thank you,
Thanks a lot.
Jaspreet.
Thanks a lot, Latika ma'am. Thanks a lot.